Hello, Evelyn McKnight, One Arm University. Today we're going to talk about basic principles of adjusting to life with just one arm. I had about 2 months from the time I was diagnosed with sarcoma and the first mention of amputation until the amputation actually happened. So I had time to think about this. What would life be like for me? I didn't know anyone who'd lost an upper limb. And when I looked on the internet, I really couldn't find a post by an actual amputee who could tell me about that adjustment. So I want to share with you some of the things that I faced and others face when you are new to life with just one arm. These are things that over time I could see that there were some basic principles of facing life, a new life with just one arm. So when you lose the use of an arm, you have grief. It is a huge loss. Life will never be the same. So give yourself permission to grieve. Do whatever you need to do. Cry, stomp your foot, shake your fist at the universe. It is important and necessary work to grieve the loss of your arm. And that grief will stay with you forever. It's been 3.5 years now since I lost the use of my arm, and I still grieve it. The intensity of the grief has lessened over time, but that grief, I think, will always be with me. So do whatever it is you need to do to work through that grief. Perhaps you can find a support group, journal, go to a counselor, find a trusted friend to talk to. I've been very fortunate. I was introduced to another woman who had the same amputation that I have shortly after our amputations. It was a coincidence that we were both at MD Anderson at the same time. And she has been a huge blessing to me. It has been so wonderful to share experiences and to talk to someone who has that same journey that I do, who is making these adjustments, who is working through that grief. And ultimately, I think what I've had to keep in mind, and I think everybody who goes through an amputation, is that choice, that decision to have the amputation was a decision to choose life. In my case, the sarcoma affected my brachial plexus, and if I had not had that amputation and removed that brachial plexus and the cancerous growth, ultimately cancer would have taken over the rest of my body, and life was not compatible with that kind of rampant sarcoma. So that's what I have to keep in mind, and I think for many people, when you have an amputation, that the reason to have it is to choose life, is because you want to continue to live this life even without the use of an arm. Some people will feel awkward around you the first time or the first several times that they see you after an amputation. They don't know what to say. They feel awkward about the grief that's present. And they have this idea that if they don't mention it, maybe you won't think of it, and maybe by talking about it, it makes me feel worse. Well, that's not true. You know, it is a huge part of my life. And if people don't mention that, don't acknowledge that, it's like they're not acknowledging this very important part of my life. So you may need to model for other people appropriate comments, ways to talk about the amputation. You may need to say things like, well, it's been a while since we've seen each other. We haven't seen each other since my amputation. It's been difficult for me, but I'm coping, and I don't mind talking about it. In fact, it's helpful to me. And I so appreciate all the help and all the support that so many people have given me. So Let me tell you a little bit about my journey. Everything takes more time with one arm. Everything takes more time. And that may be hard to adjust to, especially if you're an achievement-driven person. If you're a person that has this list of, I'm going to get this done today, you may not get everything done on your list. You have to be more in the moment. You have to be more present to the day-to-day tasks that previously you didn't have to think about. You didn't have to think about, how do I put a letter in an envelope? You didn't have to think about getting a jug of milk off the top shelf of the refrigerator and pouring yourself a glass. But now you do. Now, the benefit of that is that being present in the moment can be a very lovely way of life. It keeps you centered. It keeps you grounded. It makes you more appreciative of this moment, of this life, of how I am here still now, even without the use of one of my arms. Look at me. I'm here in beautiful Lake Tahoe. That's what you see in the background. So even without the use of one arm, there is still beauty in life. It takes time to adapt. You're learning a new way of life, and you'll have to think about every step, everything that you're doing. You'll have to think about, okay, what is my task at hand? How will I do that with just one arm when previously I did it with two arms? And perhaps for some of you, how will I do that with the arm that was not my dominant hand? It takes some thinking through. There will be some things that you can do fairly easily with just one arm. There will be some things that you can do with adaptations, with particular adaptive tools perhaps. And there will be some things that you can't do. And you may ask for help for those tasks, or you may decide, I'm just not going to do those things anymore. I have decided that I'm going to give that up. I've given up inline skating, and I've given up playing the accordion. Now, I had to grieve about both of those things. I wept some tears when we gave away my accordion, but perhaps some of the other people in my household weren't so sorrowful about that. But you do have to realize that, you know, be truthful about this. The adage, oh, you can do anything you want to do, maybe not necessarily. You may decide to give up some things. Ask for help. I took to my occupational therapist a package, and I said, now show me how I can tape this up, close up this package so that I can mail it. And she said, well, where do you take your packages when you send them off? I said, well, I take them to Pack Mail. And she said, are they nice people there? Yeah, they're really nice people. She said, if you asked for help, would they tape them up for you? I said, oh, sure, they'd be happy to do that. She said, ask for help. That's simple. That was a revelation to me. I mean, I had never thought of that. But it is okay to ask for help, and in fact, many people want to help, and they will be eager to help you, and will feel good about it. I have said to my close family and friends, listen, if you see me struggling with an activity, you see me struggling to do something, I give you permission to step in and just quietly do that for me. So for example, when we go out to eat at a restaurant and a plate of food is put in front of me, my husband will just quietly reach over and cut the meat. And you know, I don't feel offended by that. I'm grateful for the help. Do the things you can do. Be as independent as you can be. Learn how to make those adaptations of daily life. figure out what it is that you can do and do that so that you can live an independent life. It is very likely that you'll have phantom pain. Ask your medical team for help. I found my occupational therapist and my palliative care physician to be of the most help. My occupational therapist helped me with mirror therapy, and there are also resources on the internet for that information. In time, the phantom pain will get better. It may not ever go away completely. You may struggle with body image. I know that I do. I think that I have, gotten over it, but every once in a while it pops up. Specifically, I feel like I have more trouble when we change from winter season and wearing capes and heavy coats and heavy sweaters to summer season where we're wearing short sleeves. I just feel I struggle a lot the first couple of times that I leave the house with a short sleeve shirt on. I change clothes, I look in the mirror, I think, no, I can't wear that, I'm going to wear something else. So just realize that. Take some deep breaths. Say to yourself, what's important is who I am on the inside, not what I look like on the outside. And just in confidence, step out of the house and realize that you do look different than most people, and you are a good person. You may struggle with finding meaning and purpose in this new life with just one arm, especially if you've had to give up a job or hobbies or activities that you dearly loved and were very meaningful to you. I always thought that in my retirement I would volunteer at our low-income ministry center, and I would stock shelves in the food pantry, and I would fold clothes to set out for the thrift shop. Well, I can't do those things easily. So I had to look around to see what can I do. And I settled upon this YouTube channel and also upon writing books for my grandchildren. Now those were two tasks that really involved some new learning. I had never done anything like that before, and so that was very intimidating at first. I really struggled with learning those new tasks, and I found it frustrating, but in time and with practice I'm more comfortable with those tasks, and now those things are very rewarding to me. They give my life meaning and purpose, and I can't imagine living this life without doing those specific tasks for other people. And finally, you will adapt. You are strong. You are resilient. You are courageous. You have chosen life, and you will find a way to live this life purposefully, meaningfully, joyfully, with the use of one arm. So Godspeed to you, and I hope that your adaptations to life with one arm is one that is very thought-provoking, has really given you some things to think about and deeply incorporate into yourself in this new life. Godspeed.